Hello friends and welcome. I'm Cassidy Carson and this is The Life of a Writer. Today is January 30th, 2026. I'm almost up to my first full month of posting a video to YouTube every day, so yay me. I am feeling proud of myself for fulfilling that personal commitment because I really have had days where I did not feel like posting anything for various reasons, but I went ahead and did it anyway, and quality be damned in some cases. But as you can see, I am dressed a little bit nicer than I am most days because JT and I did record another podcast interview with an author, this one for the Nevada Author Network, which is our affiliation with the Sierra Arts Foundation in Reno and the Sierra Arts Literary Community. So that will be posting on Tuesday. Those videos normally go up on Wednesdays, but we do have a reason to move it forward a day this time around. So if you're interested in checking out either our Nevada Author Network podcasts or the CC and JT Amateur Hour, you can go to our website at carsonhume.com. That will tell you everything that we're doing. If you go to Two More Books, that's TWOMOORE books.com, that is the Nevada Author Network podcasts. So if you just want to go through those, I highly recommend it. We have a lot of wonderful authors here in northern Nevada, and even some of our members do come from just over the border in California and places like Truckee. So definitely check it out. You may find somebody new to follow, and I have read some wonderful books as a result of talking to our fellow local authors, because not to say that I am reading outside my genre or my comfort genres, but I was not aware of the books until I met people. So by doing these podcasts, we're hoping to make more readers aware of books that are out there that may not be in the mainstream, and give you a little bit more variety in your reading life. So as I mentioned, it is almost the end of my first month of posting daily videos. I will give you a little teaser for tomorrow, January 31st. I will be pre-preparing that video because I am spending the day out of the house, hanging out with my kids and grandkids. So I am going to be doing a wrap up of the month of January. I don't know how complex it will be. It may just be me sitting down discussing the topics that I mentioned throughout the course of the month, or if I'm feeling a little bit more adventurous, I may actually try to stitch some clips together and make it a little clip show. Know how much people just absolutely love those. That was a big thing in, it may still be. I don't watch a lot of modern television shows, but in the past, every once in a while, they would do a clip show where somebody maybe had amnesia or something, and they're trying to refresh their memory by showing clips of previous episodes. So we'll see if tomorrow's my clip show episode. It could be fun. I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about today, but I will admit that this is my second attempt to record this video. Part of the reason was background noise. Since I'm sitting in my sunroom, there is not a lot of insulation, so you can hear everything going on around me. There are some noises that I wasn't able to identify, so I apologize if there's anything annoying in the background. Definitely hear trucks. I know there was a plane earlier, but that's just life living in a fairly close to a downtown area here in Carson City. But as I started recording the first video, I kind of came to the topic of today's discussion, and that is being the star of your own life. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying it in a way that maybe I used to imagine it. For example, I've been a long time fan of Lucille Ball, and I've always imagined that I wanted to live my life like Lucy. I grew up watching I Love Lucy reruns. I watched The Lucy Show. I watched Here's Lucy. And if you are of a similar age to me, you will understand that I Love Lucy was classic, remains a classic. Her other shows are a little bit more hit or miss because she was trying to recapture some of the excitement, I think, of I Love Lucy, and it didn't quite work out well because at that point she and Desi had broken up, and I think part of the charm of I Love Lucy is her and Desi. They made a great comedic team, and Desi was great behind the scenes and really changing the television industry, because they filmed on film, and that is why we're still able to watch I Love Lucy episodes today. And there are so many other things. I think he was one of the first multi-camera sitcom situations and things like that. But not to go too deeply down that road, my point being that while I would love to be a star like Lucille Ball, I definitely, as I've gotten older, have seen the downsides to that, because this may also factor into why maybe I'm not more well-known than I am, because I've made little forays into being more public. I have been on television, I've done television interviews, I've been interviewed on radio, I have been on, I've been an extra in a movie. If anyone has seen The Cooler with Alec Baldwin and William H. Macy, I am one of the background extras in that movie in a few scenes. And one of my most exciting things was that I was actually looped on the DVD. So when you are able to go to pick a specific scene, when you get to one scene in particular, that scene on repeat is a view of the casino floor, and you can see me walking by with a drink in hand, which it's wild. If I'm ever having a down day, sometimes I'll just pop in that DVD and look at that scene to remind myself of one of the crazy I Love Lucy kind of things that I have done. I've run for public office. I was obviously not successful. It was not a statewide office, but it was multi-county. I was running for our Board of Regents for the university system. I was a volunteer coordinator for the Reno Film Festival, so I actually ended up meeting a lot of celebrities that way, which was a lot of fun. And that experience, getting to know those celebrities and seeing them as human beings, that and probably being an extra in the movie, really helped me to understand the reality of life in the spotlight. I'm not saying that I've ever been in the spotlight enough to have a real understanding of what they go through, but I could see just how difficult it might be sometimes to be so well known that you can't hide. And I guess over time, I think, I'm not 100% clear. I don't think I've mentioned it in this particular recording yet. One of the biggest disappointments of my life, I might say, is that back in elementary school, I auditioned for school choir, and I had visions of being a soprano and having this beautiful voice and being a soloist and being in the spotlight, which I wouldn't have been good at because I was a very shy child, which you might find a little hard to believe considering how I do these videos now. But at that time, for the most part, I tried to hide from people, like just by blending in. And I think part of that was upbringing. The children should be seen and not heard. That was very deeply ingrained in my psyche. I think I was trying to break out of that a little bit by, with my dreams of being a soprano soloist in the school choir. And as you can tell by my voice, I am not a soprano. I have never been a soprano. I have very little range whatsoever. I'm not sure if I fall into the alto category. I think that's probably where I am, but I don't remember for sure because obviously I did not actually join the choir because I was so disappointed that I wasn't going to be this wonderful soprano soloist. And that actually ended up probably being a good thing for me personality-wise. Maybe having a different voice and being a featured singer would have helped me build self-confidence. Maybe not. But I am a firm believer that things work out the way they do for a reason. I'm not 100%, I'm not 100% sure if I believe in fate, but I think subconsciously sometimes we make decisions that will change the course of our life. And deciding not to continue with choir, I actually ended up taking violin lessons, which is, my grandmother played the violin, and started out as a second violinist, which I kind of hated because it was always the background. You're playing the harmony, you're not playing the really exciting parts of the music. It's a lot of long whole notes and things like that. I was thrilled to get to a point where I was moved up to first violin, not through any real, I don't know, talent or anything on my part. I think I'm stubborn enough that I was able to fake playing the violin better than I actually did. I didn't like taking the violin home from school, so I didn't practice very much. And, carrying it back and forth every day was a hassle. I'd take it home on the weekends. And I do still have my violin, and one of my hopes for this year is to pick it up again. Just trying to work out my daily routine so that I have the, 15, 20 minutes to sit down and just start playing those whole notes, the twinkle, twinkle, little star thing again. But becoming a first violinist was fun. I always enjoyed the feeling of the bows moving in unison and being part of that bigger picture. And I do think I'm the kind of person that does feel more comfortable working with others, even though I'm doing a lot of solo videos right now. I did manage to become first chair. I was the concert mistress for a brief time. That was a competitive thing, and I suspect the music teacher or conductor just gave me the seat for a short time, not because, again, of my talent, but because I was so tenacious. And I feel like I was second chair for quite a while because I could keep up with the first chair, and I did learn to work well with others that way. And that's been a lot of my life, has been working with others and blending into others. And I'm not the kind of person that likes a lot of drama. And even though I've tried to live my life like Lucy, it's I'm obviously not at the level of Lucille Ball, who we're still talking about more than 30 years since she's passed away. And really what I'm getting at here is the fact that despite blending into the background quite often, for the most part, I'm the star of my story, as you are. Nobody else has had the exact same set of experiences. Nobody else can occupy the exact same space that we do in the world. And during our podcast interview today, the person we were talking with mentioned that that's important. You may have a similar story to tell to someone else, but that doesn't make it the exact same story, because the story you tell is the story of you. Whether you're writing fiction or nonfiction, it is a result of what you've experienced, how you feel, how you think, and it's important to share those stories with the world. So I guess the whole point of my discussion today is that remember that you are the star of your own story. Try to go outside of your comfort zone every once in a while. I think being the volunteer coordinator at the Reno Film Festival was a great thing for me to do. Didn't put me in the spotlight. I was in charge of working with a lot of the volunteers, putting them in place and everything. So I had a set of skills that worked out well for me. But I think meeting a lot of celebrities, some very well known, either up and comers or maybe just past their prime. I met people like Tony Curtis, Marlee Matlin, Cindy Williams, just so many people. And what I learned was they are people, and they are stars not only of their own lives, they are stars that are very well known to a lot of people. But they do things just like the rest of us do. They have the good days and the bad days, and it's just that they were able to become interesting to a lot of people. And whether or not that's something we aspire to, I think it's good to remember that Even though you are the star in your own life, you may not be special to anybody else or to everybody else. You hopefully have a group of people who consider you special, your family, your friends, your coworkers, and things like that. But it's important to balance being the star of your life with, remembering that other people have their own life stories going on, and just because you're starring in your life story doesn't mean that you're important to their story. So I guess that was kind of the point of my video today. I don't know if that really makes sense. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it, I think. What I'm trying to figure out is, after all these years of trying to blend into the background, how do I set myself apart? Because I am a result of trying to get along with everyone and trying to, bring people together and trying to keep things as low stress and as non-dramatic as possible. How do I translate that into something that some other person might find interesting enough to read the books that I'm putting out or read the stories or whatever? That can be a challenge. Sorry for the airplane. I'm really trying to work that out. And I was watching a video about making YouTube videos and how people being authentic seems to be really popular right now. Be your authentic self. You don't have to do a lot of bells and whistles and editing and music and anything like that, which is what I'm doing here. In order to get these videos up every day, it's as low tech as possible. I basically record and go, very little editing whatsoever. And apparently that is something that is popular right now. I've seen that binge-worthy episodes are popular, or binge-worthy channels are popular, and I'm coming up on, today will be 30, basically, episodes for this month, but the thing I may be missing is the hook, that I don't know in my life how I can make what I'm saying interesting enough to appeal to a broader audience. I do hope to interact with people who feel very much the way I do. And I guess maybe that's my hook, is that I hope, if nothing else, we can connect on some level, that we have had similar life experiences. We may understand how we feel on a general level. And that, like I said, I've done things like I've been the volunteer coordinator for a film festival, even though, for the most part, I'm just kind of the generic person in the background. In that way, I actually met a lot of really interesting people and was working with movers and shakers, like people. I got the job as volunteer coordinator because the assistant to our lieutenant governor asked me to volunteer at one point, and she just said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't continue on as coordinator. You're taking over," which is wild. So I did that for several years, and I fell into it, honestly. I don't know if I could have gotten up the gumption to do that on my own. So it, just saying yes to some weird things like that, you may end up having some fun experiences. And I just think that right now what we're trying to do, or what we should be doing more often, is trying to connect with other people, trying to find common ground with them, trying to be patient when planes are flying over the house. We only have a small airport here in Carson City, and on nice days, people will tend to try to get in their flight hours by just flying around town. So that's why we have so many planes flying around sometimes. But if I do have a hook, I hope it's that I can't understand exactly how you feel, but I have an idea how you may feel. You may feel isolated, you may feel afraid, you may feel discouraged, you may feel elated. But the most important thing to remember is that we are the star of our own lives, but that doesn't make us a brighter star than anybody else. I mean, look at the night sky and see all those beautiful stars up there. Each of them is important in their own way. Some of them shine a little brighter than others, but for the most part, you're looking at this beautiful canvas of stars. And I think the overall picture is so much more impressive than the sum of its parts. So I guess that's kind of what I was trying to come at today. You are important, I am important, we are all important. We are part of a big picture in the universe. We are all here together at this moment in time, trying to work our way through some very difficult times where there are people who think they are better and more important than others, despite the fact that they really aren't. And we need to really try to connect with each other on some level, even when we disagree. I don't like the drama. I don't like conflict between people, but I will listen and I will try to understand where they're coming from, even if they are not of the same mindset that I am. And I think that's also a very important thing to remember, because they too are the stars in their own story, for good or ill. And we may not see today how that story is going to turn out, but in future generations, they're going to look back and maybe find out that some of the people who were trying to make their stars shine brighter really shouldn't have. So that was kind of a wild discussion. I hope it made some sense. I really have lost track of what I intended to talk about today, aside from the fact that, we're all important in our own ways. Remember that. Try not to be too self-conscious when you feel like you're having a day where maybe you're the center of attention, but not for reasons that you would hope. And most of all, I think it's important to be kind to yourself and to others. The world, there's an old song, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And that's the only thing that there's just too little of. So remember that. Love yourself and love others. And I'm going to wrap this up because now I'm babbling. I hope you'll check back tomorrow to see how my month-end wrap-up turns out. It may just be me chatting for a few minutes, or like I said, it may be a clip show. We'll see. In the meantime, I thank you for joining me today. I hope you're having a wonderful day and week. As of the recording of this, we are heading into the weekend, so hopefully you have some time to relax. And I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Cassidy Carson, and this is the life of a writer. Take care.